Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics has described as unacceptable the directive by federal polytechnic rectors that academic staff should write new consent letters to belong to the union or have their check-off dues deducted. The union said the resolution of the Committee of Federal Polytechnic Rectors cannot be binding on its members.
Soweto! Africa! Africa!
Soweto! Rising from its meeting last Tuesday, the Committee of Federal Polytechnic Rectors resolved and directed that effective next month, check-off dues for any union would no longer be deducted from the staff salaries without their written consent. The committee claimed that the decision is based on the relevant provisions of the Trade Union Act, which stipulate that membership of a trade union shall be voluntary. This obviously does not go down well with the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics. At an emergency congress of the Federal Polytechnic of a chapter, presided over by the Zone C coordinator of ASUP, Dr. Nuruddin Masrokpa, the union condemns the directive of the rectors.
You will recall that a non-statutory body under the aegis of Committee of Federal Rectors, COFA, issued a memo on the 17th day of April 2025, directing the rectors of federal polytechnics to comply with the provisions of the Trade Union Act 2006 on the note of wrong and sentimental interpretations of the provisions. The action of COFA on the interpretation of the provisions is an affirmation of the fact that the body and its members are not mindful of their roles, responsibilities, and limitations. COFA as a body does not have the supervisory power, they do not have the regulatory power, and as a body, the power to formulate policies is not vested on them. Also, the body lacks the power to interpret any law, except if the body is to be presented as a meddlesome interloper in the affairs of trade unionism in Nigeria.
The lecturers believe that the provisions of the Act were misinterpreted by the rectors, adding that they lack the powers to even give such a directive.
COFA did not also take into cognizance that members of staff are employees of federal government and not their employees. It is on record that the federal government has collated consent of all employees on union membership during the process of enrollment into the IPPIS in the year 2020. This attests to the fact that whether written or implied consent, members of every trade union in Nigeria has consented to their membership of the various unions they belong. On the basis of this, it is important to highlight some issues of concern as regards the highly contestable write-up by COFA. The members of COFA are employees of federal government and, interestingly, members of the union, ASUP. This fact does not only incapacitate them to determine union-related matter, but also bring all rectors under the leadership of ASUP as a union, which they are supposed to be loyal to and accountable to. COFA is alien to any known law and hence incapable of making binding decisions on workers. The concept of written consent to the management is not only laughable, but falls short of acceptable standards in the polytechnic subsector and other sectors of education in Nigeria as it riots common sense.
ASUP says it will resist any attempt to implement this directive and promises to continue to protect the interests of its members.
It's an illegality. If you don't have power to issue out instruction, I'm not bound to pay that instruction. The only body recognized on campus as structure, as stated in the Polytechnic Act, is the Governing Council, followed by Academic Board, Management Board, School Board, Departmental Board. Any other set of people that come together to issue out instruction is not known to the Polytechnic community. If a policy like that, if it's not even a policy, if a memo or a minute of a meeting like that will come, we as the stakeholder at the local level, we need to be consulted and ask for a way of implementing if need be. For all these things we are not done. They just wake up one day because they are appointed of the federal government and they have allowances to go to Abuja every week or every month to a meeting, and because they are so comforted. The present need of the Polytechnic sector, we are neglected by this set of people, and they are only pursuing the shadow. The main issue that is comforting us, we are not addressed. That's why we say, we channel your energy, face what is the necessity of the Polytechnic sector, and leave the union matter to Ministry of Labor and Ministry of Labor under the Registrar of a Trade Union Congress.
Solidarity forever.